In an increasingly hurried world, where people chase after success, fame, and the illusions of external happiness, compassion seems to have become a flickering light amid the winds of indifference of our time. We are taught how to win, how to surpass others, how to protect ourselves from being hurt. Yet among those races, a small voice echoes from deep within, the voice of peace, of kindness, of unconditional love. That is the path of loving kindness, the Metta of Buddhism, the path that leads us back to ourselves. The Buddha taught, hatred is never appeased by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law. This teaching may sound simple, yet it contains a profound treasury of wisdom about the nature of suffering and liberation. Love is not merely a tender emotion or a fleeting reaction to the suffering of others. It is a state of mind, a pure energy arising from understanding that all beings wish to be happy and to avoid suffering, just like us. When the heart is nourished by loving kindness, resentment gradually fades away, and a bright sky begins to open within. Practicing loving kindness, or metta bhavana in Pali, is not just about speaking kind words or appearing gentle. It is a journey of transformation from the roots, from a self-centered mind turned outward to a heart that knows how to love and accept. In that process, we learn to look deeply into ourselves, at the wounds, the fears, and the judgments we have long hidden, and embrace them all with compassion. When we learn to love ourselves, only then can we truly love others. A practitioner of loving kindness is not one who avoids suffering but one who dares to look deeply into its nature to understand it. For when we understand, we no longer fear. And when fear dissolves, the heart naturally opens. That is why, in Buddhist tradition, compassion is never separate from wisdom. Compassion without wisdom can become weak sentimentality. Wisdom without compassion can turn into cold detachment. Only when these two merge as one can we find true peace, a peace that does not depend on external conditions but arises from understanding and unconditional love. In this age of turbulence, many people turn to meditation as a means of healing. Yet if we merely sit in silence without cultivating loving kindness, meditation remains only a stillness of the body, not yet the tranquility of the heart. For it is metta, loving kindness, that is the breath of meditation, the energy that melts away the thick ice of loneliness, fear, and anger. When we direct our hearts toward others with genuine love, we are gradually dissolving the walls that separate self and other, inside and outside. In practicing loving kindness, we begin by sending loving energy to ourselves, the one we so often forget in the busyness of life. We say to ourselves, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering." Then gradually, we expand that love to include our family, friends, strangers, and even those who have hurt us. Each expansion of love makes the heart grow a little larger. And then, we realize that love is not something to be exchanged or demanded, it is the natural quality of the mind when it is no longer clouded by ignorance. A heart full of compassion is a free heart, unbound by hatred, unconfined by the self. This is the peace that Buddhism calls nirvana in the present moment, where all suffering dissolves in the light of understanding and love. On the journey of Buddha's wisdom, we will explore together how to practice loving kindness in daily life, not only in meditation, but in every glance, every word, every action. For love does not dwell in lofty rituals, but in the simplest things, a smile, a word of forgiveness, or even a silence full of understanding. When we love without demanding, give without expecting, that is when we are walking on the path of the Buddha, the path leading to inner peace and true freedom in every breath. From here, let our hearts relearn how to love, not as a weakness, but as a gentle strength that can heal the world. And just as a river never ceases to flow, compassion, once awakened, will continue to spread endlessly, touching every soul, illuminating every shadow. For as the Buddha said, loving kindness is the greatest gift one can give to another. When speaking of loving kindness, or of metta, many people immediately think of gentleness, forgiveness, or simple kindness. But in Buddhism, this concept is far deeper than that. Loving kindness is not merely an emotion that arises from the heart, it is a state of mindfulness, a way of seeing the world through the eyes of understanding. Only when we truly understand the suffering of others does our loving kindness become complete. It is not pity, but a profound empathy that arises from wisdom. Modern people, especially in the West, often live in a state of separation from nature, from others, and even from themselves. Loneliness, anxiety, and stress have become so normal that people have forgotten what peace feels like. In this cycle, loving kindness becomes the medicine of healing, the bridge reconnecting human beings with their original essence, where every living being is seen through the eyes of compassion. When we open our hearts, we no longer live only for ourselves, but begin to feel the wondrous connection among all things. The practice of loving kindness does not require you to be religious or to hold any profound philosophical beliefs. It begins with the simplest thing, intention. When you sit down, close your eyes, and sincerely wish, "May all beings be happy," you are awakening the goodness already present in your heart. The Buddha taught that the human mind, when properly trained, can become an infinite source of energy, like a stream of cool water nourishing the entire world. One of the most widely taught methods in Theravada Buddhism is metta meditation, the meditation of loving kindness. In this practice, we begin by sending blessings of peace to ourselves. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. This is not selfishness, but nourishment. For if our hearts are empty, how can we give love to others? When we learn to appreciate ourselves, to forgive our past mistakes, loving kindness begins to take root. After that, we expand our love to those we care about, our family, friends, those who make us feel warmth. We wish them peace, happiness, and freedom from suffering. Next, we direct our hearts toward neutral people, those we rarely notice in daily life, such as the delivery person, the store clerk, or the stranger on the street. And finally, we open our hearts to those who have hurt us. This is the most difficult step, but also where the miracle happens. When we can sincerely wish happiness for those who once caused us pain, our hearts become so vast that there is no longer room for hatred. This practice is not always easy. Many people, when they begin, feel resistance, the thought that, "I cannot love that person," or "I do not deserve to be loved." But these very moments are the opportunities to look deeply into the roots of our suffering. Loving kindness does not force us to pretend to be kind, it teaches us to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge our wounds, and then to transform them through understanding. Compassion is not only gentleness, it is also strength. It is the strength of tolerance, of patience, of the ability to see goodness in what is bad, light within darkness. When a person practices loving kindness long enough, they begin to feel a clear shift within. Everything becomes lighter, interactions grow warmer, and life seems less sharp, less cold. There is something remarkable about loving kindness. When you truly cultivate it, its energy radiates naturally. Those around you can feel it, even without words. A smile, a glance, a kind word, all can be seeds of peace. In a noisy world, even one person living with a compassionate heart is already a precious gift to humanity. Buddhism teaches that loving kindness is inseparable from reality. It is not something you feel only on the meditation cushion, but something to bring into every moment of daily life. When you drive, when you wait in line, when you face someone who is angry, these are all opportunities to practice. Try replacing the instinct to defend yourself with understanding. See the other person as someone suffering, rather than someone causing you trouble. When you truly look through the eyes of loving kindness, all conflicts dissolve like morning mist. A Zen master once said, "When you plant a seed of compassion in your heart, you are planting nirvana in your life." This saying is not a metaphor. Indeed, when our hearts are filled with love, everything around us becomes lighter and brighter. We are no longer swept away by anger or disappointment. Loving kindness teaches us to accept impermanence, to understand that everyone changes, that everything passes. And that very understanding opens the door to freedom. In the West, many psychologists are now beginning to recognize loving kindness as an effective form of healing. Scientific research shows that metta meditation can reduce stress, increase happiness, improve heart health, and strengthen human connection. But beyond all biological benefits, the greatest miracle is that it changes the way we see the world. When the heart expands, the world itself transforms. On the journey of Buddha's wisdom, we will not only speak of theories but walk through each step of practice, to see that loving kindness is not something distant, but something real, deeply human. Anyone, anywhere, no matter what they have gone through, can learn to live with loving kindness. And when a heart capable of love is born, the world is reborn with it. When you go deeper into the practice of loving kindness, you begin to realize that it is not just a meditation technique, but a way of living. It teaches us to see the world with softer eyes, to feel the fragility of human existence, and to learn forgiveness, not because others deserve to be forgiven, but because our hearts deserve peace. In a society where people so easily react with anger and judgment, the practice of loving kindness is the gentlest yet most powerful form of resistance. For when we choose love over hatred, we are helping to change the world, beginning with ourselves. Loving kindness does not require you to always be good, to always smile, or to hide your true feelings. It requires sincerity. When you notice anger arising, instead of denying it, acknowledge it. Yes, I am angry. Then breathe in, breathe out, and look deeply into that anger with kindness. You will see that beneath the anger lies fear, pain, or an unhealed wound. When you look with loving kindness, you are no longer swept away by emotion but begin to understand it. And it is that understanding which is the true root of love. One of the common mistakes in practicing loving kindness is believing that it should only be directed toward others. In truth, the foundation of all love is self-compassion, the ability to be kind to oneself. Americans, living in a fast-paced and high-pressure society, often fall into the feeling of not being good enough. They strive for perfection, seek to please others, and try to hide their flaws. But loving kindness teaches us that no one needs to be perfect to deserve love. We love ourselves not because we are flawless, but because we are beings learning to understand and to grow. Imagine that whenever you fail, instead of blaming yourself, you say, "It's okay. I'm only human. I'm learning." Such a simple phrase may seem small, but if you practice it every day, it becomes a powerful healing force. Self-compassion is the foundation of loving kindness, and when we learn to treat ourselves kindly, we naturally treat others with greater kindness. When loving kindness is nurtured deeply enough, it begins to radiate outward like ripples spreading across a still lake after a small stone falls in. You begin to feel connected to the world around you, to the trees, to animals, to people you have never met. When you see someone suffering, instead of being indifferent or judgmental, you feel their pain within yourself. And when you feel so deeply, you no longer wish to cause harm. Violence, hatred, and division cannot survive in a heart full of compassion. Something miraculous happens when you practice loving kindness regularly. Your inner world begins to change. The things that once made you angry no longer disturb your heart so easily. Old wounds start to heal. You no longer feel trapped in the past or fearful of the future, because loving kindness brings you back to the present, where everything is unfolding exactly as it is. In that very moment, you begin to understand more deeply the Buddha's teaching: when the mind is peaceful, the world is peaceful. The practice of loving kindness can also be an antidote to fear, the silent disease of modern humanity. We fear being hurt, being rejected, losing what we love. But when we expand our hearts with loving kindness, we no longer live in contraction or defense. We begin to see that love does not make us weak, it makes us strong. For only when you have the courage to love without demand do you become truly free. One meditator once said, after many years of metta practice, I realized that the most miraculous thing about loving kindness is not that it makes others happy, but that it makes my own heart lighter. This statement holds a profound truth about the nature of loving kindness. It is not a gift you give to others, but a gift you give to yourself. When you wish peace for others, you are planting the seed of peace within your own heart. When you forgive someone, you are freeing yourself from the weight of the past. Gradually, you will realize that loving kindness is no longer a practice, but a natural response of the heart. When you see someone suffer, your heart automatically opens. When someone succeeds, you feel joy for them. Envy, comparison, and jealousy gradually fade away, giving way to a pure joy, the joy of seeing others happy. That is the mark of spiritual maturity. Importantly, loving kindness is not limited to human beings. It extends to all creatures, to all forms of life. When you see a small injured bird or a fallen leaf, you also feel the fragility of life. And in that awareness, you become more humble, more grateful, more gentle with the world. For when you live with loving kindness, you no longer stand apart from nature, you become part of it, breathing in rhythm with life itself. Practicing loving kindness also does not mean you must abandon personal boundaries or let others take advantage of you. On the contrary, loving kindness is built on wisdom, so it helps you protect yourself while keeping your heart pure. You can say no without anger, you can walk away from a toxic relationship without resentment. When the mind is clear, your actions become natural, gentle, yet firm and strong. And finally, loving kindness teaches us about non-self. When you love unconditionally, you gradually realize that others, and I, are only concepts created by the mind. The true nature of all beings is connection, the continuous flow of living energy. When you see this, you no longer wish to possess or control. You simply allow everything to be as it is. And in that letting go, the mind becomes clear and free. That is the unshakable peace. In the end, loving kindness is not only the path of love but the path of understanding. For when we deeply understand the nature of human life, loving kindness naturally arises. It is the fruit of wisdom, not merely emotion. And it is that very wisdom which leads us to the peace humankind has sought for ages, the peace where the mind no longer resists, no longer holds resentment, but shines with the gentle light of understanding. When you go deeper into the practice of loving kindness, something miraculous begins to happen. You realize that every experience in life, whether happiness or suffering, can become material to nurture compassion. You no longer see pain as an enemy but as a teacher. Every time you are hurt, instead of closing your heart, you learn to open it. Because it is precisely in the moment of weakness, when your heart seems to break, that a new part of understanding is born. And that understanding, if illuminated by loving kindness, will transform suffering into wisdom. In the modern world, people are used to reacting when criticized, reacting when hurt, reacting when things don't go their way. But loving kindness teaches you something different. Don't react, understand. When someone does something that hurts you, you can pause and ask yourself, what made them act that way? Perhaps they are also suffering, being controlled by their own fear. When you see that, anger begins to fade, and empathy arises instead. Not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough not to be caught in the cycle of hatred. One of the greatest challenges in practicing loving kindness is learning to love in imperfect circumstances. This world is full of injustice, misunderstanding, and pain, and sometimes we feel powerless. But loving kindness does not ask us to fix the world, it only asks us to keep our hearts from closing. Because one open heart, even just one, has the power to soften the darkness around it. Like a single candle that can dispel the night, your loving kindness, though small, is still light in ignorance. It's important to remember that loving kindness is not always a sweet emotion. Sometimes it is full of tears, sometimes it is deep silence, sometimes it is just a gentle breath as you try not to judge yourself. It can be patience when you are disappointed or tenderness when you are tired. For loving kindness does not only appear in peaceful moments, it is also present in pain. In the dark corners you are afraid to look at. As long as you don't turn away from yourself, then even a small spark means loving kindness is still there. When we practice long enough, we begin to realize that loving kindness is no longer a method, but the natural breath of the mind. It seeps into the smallest actions. When you make someone a cup of tea, when you smile at a stranger, when you listen without rushing to advise, all of that is loving kindness operating in daily life. And then you understand that peace is not a destination but the path you walk every day. The Buddha taught, no one can give peace to another, it can only be found within. Loving kindness is the doorway that leads you back to that inner space, where you stop running away from yourself, where all wounds are seen in the light of understanding. When you can sit quietly with yourself, seeing every emotion without judgment, you are practicing loving kindness at its deepest level. Because in that silence, you are saying to your own heart, I will not abandon you. The practice of loving kindness also teaches us about letting go. When you truly love, you don't seek to control. You allow everything to be as it is, people, things, or life itself. You no longer try to change others to fit your expectations. Instead, you understand that each person is on their own journey, and true love is to respect that journey. When attachment fades, loving kindness becomes clear and transparent, as natural as light passing through water. Many people think that unconditional love is impossible. But in Buddhist practice, it is entirely possible, because unconditional does not mean blind or accepting of all wrongs. It simply means seeing others through the eyes of understanding rather than judgment. When you see their fear, their pain, their limitations, loving kindness naturally arises. You can set boundaries, say no, or walk away, yet still hold compassion and blessings in your heart. That is the strength of mature loving kindness. Gradually, you begin to notice changes within yourself. Difficult conversations become lighter. Old wounds no longer ache, and the things that once made you angry become opportunities to understand human nature more deeply. Loving kindness does not make you weaker, it makes you more grounded. Because you no longer need to prove anything to the world. When your heart is full of compassion, you naturally become confident, calm, and free. That freedom is not separation from life, but the ability to live within it without being ruled by it. You can live amid noise and still remain quiet inside, amidst conflict yet remain peaceful, amidst pain yet still love. When loving kindness is deep enough, it becomes a refuge, for yourself and for those around you. Others feel peace in your presence, not because of what you say, but because the calm energy within you spreads naturally, like the fragrance of a lotus. And one day, you will realize that loving kindness is not only the path of Buddhism but the path of humanity itself. Because no matter who you are, where you are, or what culture you belong to, deep down every heart longs to be loved and understood. Loving kindness is the universal language that needs no translation, the thread that connects seemingly distant souls. When one person opens their heart, the whole world can be healed, even just a little. So each time you sit quietly and send out the wish, may all beings be happy. Know that you are not speaking empty words. You are planting a seed into space, a subtle vibration of loving energy, and the universe receives it. Though you may not see the result immediately. Just as the sun rises every morning, what comes from loving kindness will always shine, even silently. And perhaps, that is the deepest purpose of practicing loving kindness, not to become special. Not to reach a supernatural state, but simply to live with your true heart. A heart that knows how to feel, to empathize, to forgive, and to be silent when needed. When you can live like that, you no longer need to search for peace, because peace is already present in every breath you take. At that point, you realize that this journey is not separate from ordinary life. It is ordinary life. Every encounter, every word, every challenge is an opportunity to practice loving kindness. And when loving kindness becomes your natural breath, everything you touch becomes lighter, brighter, and more alive. That is the sign you are nearing the end of the path, where love and understanding are no longer two, but one. Finally, when you sit quietly in stillness, amidst slow breaths and the sound of life fading away like a passing breeze, you will begin to realize what the Buddha once taught: loving kindness is not something you do, but something you become. When your mind no longer resists the world, when your heart no longer closes out of fear of being hurt, love naturally arises, effortlessly, without reason. Loving kindness, metta, is the opening of a heart that has understood the nature of suffering. One who has seen suffering no longer wishes to cause suffering to others. One who has understood the fragility of life will choose to live more gently, to listen more deeply, and to forgive more easily. And in every moment we treat someone kindly, we are also healing ourselves. Remember, the practice of compassion is not about becoming a good person in the eyes of others. It is a journey of returning, rediscovering your own pure nature, a nature that nothing in this world can corrupt. When we let go of the self, when we stop demanding others to be perfect, when we no longer expect the world to follow our will, loving kindness begins to blossom. It is as gentle as the morning light, shining without discrimination. And from that compassion, a very special kind of peace begins to spread. Not the temporary peace that depends on favorable conditions, but a profound peace, peace even amidst the storm. When someone hurts you, you no longer react with hatred but with understanding. That person is suffering too. When you fail, you no longer blame yourself, but smile softly. Everything is a lesson. That is true freedom, freedom from hatred, from fear, from the need to prove yourself. A person who truly loves is no longer controlled by the emotions of others. They do not need to be loved back to feel worthy. They love because it is their nature. The practice of loving kindness is sometimes as simple as a silent wish. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I live in freedom. And then you expand it. May all beings be peaceful. May all be happy. May all live in freedom. When you practice this long enough, your mind gradually becomes transparent. The walls between you and others begin to dissolve. You no longer see me and them, but only us. And in that moment, you deeply understand that all beings share the same fear, the same longing, all are seeking the home of peace. If you have ever asked, how can this world suffer less? The answer lies right in your heart. Every time you choose love over judgment, forgiveness over revenge, listening over reacting, the world changes, even just a little. But those little changes, repeated in countless hearts, become the power that soothes the ocean of human suffering. The Buddha once said, "Hatred is never appeased by hatred, it is only by love that hatred is appeased." If each day we live with that awareness, even for a few minutes, we have already helped to brighten a dark corner of human consciousness. We don't need to do great things, we just need to be fully present in each act, with genuine compassion. And then you will see, loving kindness is not merely a meditation technique. It is a way of living, a choice in every breath, every glance, every word. When you speak kindly, act sincerely, and keep a soft heart in a harsh world, you are living in metta. Do not think you must be perfect to love. It is precisely when we still carry wounds that our loving kindness becomes most profound. For only those who have suffered know how to be truly gentle. And that very gentleness is the doorway to real peace, not the peace that comes from control, but the peace that comes from acceptance and understanding. Try, just once today, instead of reacting out of habit, to pause and breathe. Look at the person before you with the eyes of loving kindness. You might see something miraculous. The outer world may not change right away, but the world within you has already changed, wider, brighter, more peaceful. And if what you have just read touches something in your heart, a spark, a softening, a wish to live more kindly, share it. Leave a comment, not just to say what you think, but to spread the energy of kindness. Because sometimes, a single sincere word from you can reach someone who needs it most. This world does not need more arguments, it needs more hearts that know how to love. And if each of us, even just a little, practices loving kindness as the Buddha taught, then peace will no longer be a distant dream. It will be the living reality blooming in our everyday lives.